Hey YouTube friends, gorgeous day today. So I'm just about to prune my raspberries and I was thinking I'd do a quick tutorial. Now I'm no expert by any means. I've just had this raspberry patch behind me for about 3 years now, and I know it can be a little confusing with all the summer bearing, ever bearing, primocanes, floricanes and all those terms, but I'm going to try to simplify it for you and give you a really quick and efficient tutorial on how I prune, thin and organize this patch of raspberries right here. So let's get right into it. Okay, first things first, before you start pruning, you should identify the types of raspberries that you have growing in your garden, because summer bearing raspberries behave and fruit very differently from fall or ever bearing raspberries. And I'm going to explain the difference visually right here in this patch of my garden. Okay, so here we have summer bearing and fall bearing raspberries side by side. Summer bearing raspberries, they produce raspberries on their second year canes. Now these right here are second year canes. Last year they were first year canes, they sprung from the ground, they were nice and green, but they didn't have any raspberries. This year it's their second year and they're going to produce fruit, and then come autumn and in their third year they're just going to die. Like this guy over here, you can see the remnants of raspberries, and this is game over for this cane. And you can see the difference in color. These guys are vibrant, they're going to have leaves soon, and these are dead, and it makes them quite easy to prune. Let me just cut through one and show you what I mean. Okay, so this is a spent floricane, a spent second year cane, and if I'm gonna cut and sacrifice one of these because it's kind of small, so I'm gonna cut it anyway. And this one is alive and well, and it's a second year cane that, if given the chance, will fruit. So this is a summer bearing raspberry. So as a recap, summer bearing raspberries have first year canes, which are called primocanes. You can't see them here because they haven't sprouted yet. And second year canes, like these ones behind me, and these are called floricanes because they will fruit raspberries in the summer. Now when the first year canes come up and it's summertime, you really can tell these two guys apart, so it's best to prune them now or in the autumn. I prefer to prune them in early spring. And the second type of raspberries that you can have in your garden, I have them side by side right here, are fall bearing or ever bearing raspberries, and it's really easy to tell them apart. They're even different in color and texture. These are the summer raspberries and these are the fall raspberries, and you can see they are smoother, they're not as prickly, they have this reddish color. It doesn't mean yours is going to be exactly the same, but you can definitely tell them apart. Now the main difference is that fall bearing raspberries produce fruit on primocanes, which means they produce fruit on their first year canes, and there's actually two ways to prune them depending on what kind of harvest you want. So you can get two smaller harvests in summer and in fall, or you can get one larger harvest of raspberries. For me, my preference is to get one bigger harvest from these guys in the autumn, because I have an entire huge patch of summer fruiting raspberries that I have actually taken over, and I really like the variety of having one kind of raspberries in the summer and the other kind in autumn, but it's entirely up to you. I'm going to show you how to do both. So again, just to prove a point, this fall bearing raspberry, it fruited last year, and you can see the old raspberries here on the cane, but the cane is alive and well. It's producing new shoots and it's going to have leaves soon, so it's not dead like the floricanes over here that we're going to remove soon. So one option would be to cut this cane from right here, from right below where it fruited last year, or just honestly just leave it alone. I left them alone last year, and they were, no, actually 2 years before, and they were just fine and they kept fruiting. Or the other option you have, so if you do this, you will get a summer harvest and a fall harvest, and they'll both be smaller than just one big harvest in the autumn. And the second option you have is to basically cut it from the ground, mercilessly just cut it from the ground, like this guy here too, see, it was cut from the ground. And you just cut your entire patch 5 inches from the ground. I'm gonna cut all these guys all the way to the ground, and if you're scared to do that, don't worry, because you're gonna have new shoots, see, new shoots here popping all over the place, and come autumn you're gonna have fall raspberries, I promise. Okay, I'm gonna start pruning my patch, but before I do, I wanted to share a tip with you, and that is try to prune your raspberries on a windy, sunny day like this one if possible. If not, then just make sure it doesn't rain on the day that you prune your raspberries and a couple of days afterwards. Okay, so let's get started. We have to do 3 things. We have to prune the everbearing raspberries all the way to the ground. We have to prune the dead floricanes from the summer fruiting raspberries, and then we have to thin the second year raspberry canes so that we remove the weakest, thinnest ones, and that we also remove the ones that have overgrown and grown outside of where we want them to. Let's get started. Okay, 1 hour later and I'm almost done pruning my raspberry patch. I probably look a mess, and I do feel like a soldier from the battlefield because of all the scratches that I have and all the thorns in my fingers. So if you do this, make sure you wear some old clothes and some serious gloves. So this is my progress so far. I'm probably gonna prune a little bit more, but I'm happy with this. I basically cut all my fall bearing raspberries to the ground. As for the summer raspberries, which are these guys right here, second year canes, all of them, I kept the tallest and strongest looking ones, and I removed the dead spent floricanes that I showed you. And then if you have small tiny second year canes like these guys, you can just cut them out. And also cut the shoots that are growing outside of your patch. I don't know if I have one here to show you. Oh yeah, this is a first year cane, so this is going to be a primocane. And I also have some raspberries that are growing where they're not supposed to be growing. In the summertime, you're going to see a lot of raspberry canes in your pats or in other beds all together, like here near my tripod. So yeah, I removed those too. And as for spacing, ideally you want to space them about 6 inches apart. Problem is they don't grow like neat little soldiers. They actually grow in kind of clumps. So here I have a clump of 4 raspberry canes, and they're all equally strong. So it really breaks my heart to give up on 1 or 2 or 3 of them just to keep one. And if you have clumps that are further apart from each other, so this clump of 4 second year canes and this clump of another 4, I just keep them like this because I want to have raspberries in my garden, and I don't want to sacrifice more than I have to. But I guess we'll see, and I'm really open to what you guys think. Obviously, I should have grown this patch of raspberries in rows, and that was my intention at first, but they grew so fast and all over the place They didn't grow on the edge where I wanted the rows to go. They grew in the middle. So I'm just gonna have to deal with that every summer when I pick the fruits, but I don't really mind. Okay guys, that was it for my raspberry pruning tutorial. Now all I have to do left is do some more thinning and take care of all these canes and do some cleanup. Hope you enjoyed this quick guide. Hope you learned something. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great gardening season. Bye!